Chariots of fire. Elijah is taken to heaven. 2 Kings 2. When Queen Elizabeth died some years ago, many people felt like a long and lovely story in history died too. In a crowd of people all screaming for attention, the Queen stood apart, poised, beautiful, and wholesome. Her death was, as we say, the end of an era, the end of a season in time. When Elijah passed on, it was like Queen Elizabeth's death, but way, way bigger. That's where we find the Israelites in this story. Those who love Yahweh are dreading Elijah's death. How can we possibly survive without Elijah? They probably wonder. Israel is always wandering away from God like a stupid cow. Who will lead us back to him? Who will stand up to our terrible kings? Who will beg God to be merciful and not judge our nation's wicked ways? Elijah is almost a spiritual superhero to them. But the day is getting closer. Elijah knows this. He could have ambled down to the Mediterranean Sea and settled in some nice, sunny beachside resort there. But no, he wants to leave his beloved people in a good place. No cushy retirement for Elijah. He's raising up an army for the Lord. Elijah is traveling with his trusty servant Elisha. Their names even sound the same, making it obvious that Elisha is the new Elijah. As they're walking, the old man turns to Elisha and says, "Stay here. Yahweh has sent me on to Bethel." But there's no way Elisha is leaving now. "As surely as Yahweh and you live, I won't leave you." They arrive at Bethel, and there's a small crowd of God's prophets there. Almost whispering, they ask Elisha, "Do you know that God is going to take Elijah away from you today?" Yes, I know," says Elisha, "so don't talk about it." After meeting with the prophets, Elijah says he's moving on to Jericho. Everything happens the exact same way. Elijah tells Elisha to stay. Elisha says no way. More prophets whisper that the old man will leave them that day. Everybody knows Elijah is leaving. They seem to dread the very thought of it. 50 prophets from Jericho follow the pair to the Jordan River. They watch as Elijah takes off his coat, rolls it up, and whips the water with it. They gape in wonder as the river splits in two, half on this side, half on that side. They're flabbergasted as Elijah and Elisha walk right through on dry ground, a personal mini exodus for God's prophets. Elijah and Elisha continue on together. "What can I do for you before you leave?" Elijah asks. Elisha is like a son to the old man. So Elisha asks for a son's inheritance, a double dose of the old man's spirit. As they're walking and talking, fiery horses pulling a fiery chariot suddenly charge between them. A huge whirlwind sweeps Elijah away and lifts him up to heaven. Horses, chariots, tornado, and fire. This is God's way of showing his power. Let the wicked kings of Israel do what they like. God wins. Let evil men scream and rage. God wins. Elijah might have been scared and tired, but God wins. In the end, God wins every time. Elisha is breathless and cries after the old prophet, my father, Israel's chariots and horsemen." Then Elijah disappears completely. The young man tears his clothes and weeps. But look, something is lying next to him. It's Elijah's coat. He walks back to the Jordan River, rolls up the coat, and whips the water with it. "Where is Yahweh, the God of Elijah?" he asks. and the water splits again, leaving a dry path for him to walk across. On the other side, there are 50 prophets from Jericho, and look, their mouths are hanging open. Elijah's spirit is with Elisha, they exclaim. They come to meet Elisha and bow down before him, but they've kind of missed the point. They're still hoping against hope that Elijah isn't really gone. Listen to their next words. Look, they say, we have 50 healthy young men. Let them go and look for Elijah. Maybe God has set him on some mountain or left him in a valley. As if God would accidentally drop Elijah while he's carrying him home. Elijah says no, but they keep on asking until he's so embarrassed that he lets them go. 50 men are sent out. They search high and low for 3 days. 50 men come back empty-handed. Okay, Elisha, I guess you were right. You see, those men were asking for Elijah, but Elisha was asking the right question. Where is Yahweh, the God of Elijah? Elisha knew that the superhero of Israel may have been taken, but the real power behind him, God himself, was still with them. Then Elisha proves that he is Elijah 2.0 and that God is with him. He retraces the old prophet's steps. In every place Elijah has gone, Elisha does something incredible. First, you'll remember how he split the Jordan River. Then he backtracks to Jericho, where he undoes a curse from many years ago and shows God's incredible mercy by cleansing the water there. And finally, in Bethel, he calls down God's justice on a bunch of bad guys. In every place, he shows God's power and character. It's a message from God. Don't be scared, Israel. Elijah is gone, but Yahweh is still with you. Sometimes we lose important people in our lives. Maybe they pass away. Maybe they move away. Maybe they just get too busy. And we might wonder, how are we ever going to make it without them? But if you ask God, He will be with you. He is the only one that will never change in your life. He's like gravity, always keeping you grounded. And just like gravity, God will always be there.